What's up, people? I'm back again. Back twice this evening, right? Come on in, New Jack Flavor. Come on in, New Jack Flavor. Tonight I'm gonna be talking about the New Jack Swing era, the artists in the New Jack Swing era, songs, what happened during that era, etc. What's up, Flavor? Come on in.
Hey,
Hey, how are
I'm
you?
good. How are you?
I'm fine.
Let me turn my brightness up.
Wow. We've been following each other for quite a while. We get
Yeah.
finally get to speak on live.
Yeah.
You might want to turn it the right way, your
Yeah.
phone. Okay.
Give me one moment.
All right.
I may have to lock my screen so I can do this.
Mhm. What's up, Sean? Waiting for Flavor to come back on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
All right. How are you? How's your weekend so far?
It's pretty good. Yeah.
It's cold out there in North Carolina,
Yeah.
huh? It's brick out here, 20 degrees. Just can't wait till this pandemic is over with.
Me too.
Okay. So, let's start. You know, how was the industry like from 1986 to 1995?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah.
Then like R&B music mixed with pop, funk,
Yeah.
jazz, and rap.
Yeah.
New Jack Swing,
Yep.
discovered by Teddy Riley and Bernard Bell.
Yes.
That's his name, right?
Bernard Bell. Yeah.
Mm, yep. You know, and they play New Jack Swing now as if it just came out.
Yeah. But it's
And Guy is the main reason for New Jack Swing.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, when you think it's like when Guy comes to your mind, what's your like, first like, thought about them?
Um. It's just amazing the music. With
Hmm.
Aaron
Yep.
Hall, his voice. Teddy Riley, his production. One of the greatest producers. Ever. So and then Timmy Gatlin. He was on the first
Hmm.
album and all that. He even had his own solo career. So,
Hmm.
he's a good producer. He was a good producer in the industry as well. During that time. You know.
Yeah, they replaced Timmy with Damien, Aaron
Yeah.
Hall's younger brother,
Yeah.
and let me tell you something. That brother could dance. That brother
Yeah.
could sing. That brother is one of the realest that
Yeah.
you could ever come across and talk to.
Yeah. That's why they call him Crazy Legs.
Because he could dance.
Yeah.
That brother could dance. And nowadays the guy songs I listen to Groove Me, Merry Go Round, Wanna Get With You. What are the songs that Spend the Night,
Yeah. Spend the night.
Just
Yeah.
Dance, Don't Clap Your Hands? It's like, those songs will just like, have
Yeah.
everybody like going crazy. I'm playing it, I'm going crazy on the dance floor.
Yeah. Yeah. I like music that you can dance to with the hard hip hop beats. That's
Hmm.
my favorite kind of music.
Hmm. Yeah. And every time I go on your page and when I look at videos, I like see like these groups of people that were part of the New Jack Swing era
Yeah.
that I never heard of before. Like for example, Abstract.
Yeah. So that was like they were gonna make them into the female version of Guy.
Hmm.
But it didn't really work out. They had that, but Right and Height was a big hit in '89. It was produced by Teddy Riley. That was a big hit for the group. Yeah. So
Hmm. And there's it's like there would just be like out with one song and like one album and you never hear of them ever again.
yeah, it's a lot of good New Jack Swing out there. When I look at the era, I don't just look at all the main people. I look at the rare stuff. You got to go deep into the history. I've found a lot of good groups from back then. They have timeless music. They may have had only one or two albums, but the stuff is really good. A lot of the New Jack Swing that a lot of
Hmm.
people have never heard before is very good. You know.
Hmm. Like Guy, Belle Biv DeVoe.
Yeah.
It's like those guys is like Poison, Do Me,
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
What are the Belle Biv DeVoe songs?
When will I see you
She's
smile
dope.
again?
She's dope.
Yeah.
And they still moving strong
Yeah.
up until today.
Yeah.
Basic Black.
Basic
They
Black. Yeah.
they,
Mhm.
they came out with the new single. I think they planning to come out with the new
Yeah.
album.
Mhm. It's good to see these groups still,
Hmm.
doing their thing,
Hmm.
still performing together, still
Hmm.
keeping the legacy going. So I like that
Hmm.
about the New Jack Swing groups from back in the day. Um, Also Troop, they're a really good group too. I like them.
Yeah, yeah, they're a really good group.
Mhm.
I'm not soup. That's my attitude.
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah,
Sita. We need to keep in mind the New Jack Swing songs from each of these artists.
yeah,
No, and the thing about New Jack Swing is that when the dance moves, a lot of people find it like, oh, it's like I can't do that. Like you just got to put your mind and your body into it.
yeah.
I want to learn how to dance to New Jack Swing.
Yeah. See, I'm not really a good dancer because I can't dance to New Jack Swing music due to medical issues. I just can't dance to it. So it's
Mhm,
like I wish I could. Yeah,
mhm,
because I was born with some back problems, so I can't.
mhm, mhm,
All I can do is really bow my head to it. So,
mhm. Yeah, do you know like know like the dance moves from the New Jack Swing era?
the dance
The name
moves.
of the dance moves, the names.
See, I don't really get into the names of the dance moves. I haven't really gotten to that, but I'm more into like the music. But
Hmm.
when I see the dances, I'm like, yeah, I wish I could do that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't really look into the history of the dancing,
Hmm.
but I just know it is some good dancing from the New Jack Swing era.
Yeah, and I'll be sure Heavy
Yeah,
D,
yeah.
Levert,
Levert, yep. Tony Tone as well. Yeah,
yeah, Men at Large, and I like as you see on my page, I interviewed one of the members,
yeah,
Dave Oliver.
cool.
He's a cool guy. And the one thing that we need to keep in mind when it comes to the New Jack Swing era is that how they got their record label, how they got signed to Atlantic
Yeah,
Records, Epic Records,
yeah.
and and like what was going on
Yeah, what was going on
during
during
that
that?
era, because a lot happened that era.
Yeah,
Even though there it was like great music, a lot happened, and that's what we need to keep in mind.
yeah,
And the thing that we also need to keep in mind, I don't know if people like discuss this when they're talking about New Jack Swing, are the main colors, the colors that represented that music genre.
yeah.
Like me, I would say the main color of New Jack Swing was yellow.
Yellow, yeah,
Yellow, red, green,
yeah.
and what other color you think was popular during the era?
Red. Let's see. Probably like blue or something. Blue.
Mhm.
I see that sometimes
Oh,
when I'm looking.
and purple. I
Purple,
can
yeah,
come up with the fourth color.
yeah,
It's like a New Jack Swing is like what's your own perspective of New Jack Swing?
um, my own perspective of New Jack Swing. It was an overall great genre of music. It's combining R&B with hip hop beats. And when you look at some like New Jack Swing, some of it can be mixed with like funk, because there's a lot of artists that were out during that time. They would release like singles with like elements of funk in them, and I can give you a few albums that people don't look at that much. They don't look too deep into it, like Paula Abdul's "Forever Your Girl." It has like elements of New
Opposite
Jack
and
Swing.
opposite attraction. That's the name of her
Yeah,
other song that.
yeah.
Hmm.
Because L.A. Reid and Babyface, they produced on that album as well.
Hmm.
A lot of the tracks, that's definitely on the list of New Jack Swing albums. You would say like R&B, dance, pop, New Jack
Hmm.
Swing combined together. That album definitely, should be mentioned from the New Jack Swing era.
Yeah.
Also Vanessa Williams' first album, The Right Stuff, that's definitely New Jack Swing in it. Um, Chucky Booker, he produced on, that album, and Patrice
Hmm.
Rushen, she did too. Um, so that album is considered, and then Jody Watley's Larger Than Life.
And I
Um,
just had her in mind too. Jodie Watley,
yeah,
Karen White.
Yeah, Karen White, Pebbles, you know, Tyler Collins. I don't know if
Hmm.
you heard of her, but she had a song called Girls Night Out back in like 90. It was one of her biggest hits.
What's the name of the lady again?
Tyler Collins. Tyler Collins.
Her name sounds familiar.
Tyler Collins. You gotta look her up.
Hmm.
She had a lot of people they look at her as based off the single Girls Night Out, but she actually had
Hmm.
more hits than that, you know.
Yeah.
She's
Hmm.
underrated, you know.
Hmm.
So I listen to her. She's a good artist. And then there's another one. Her name is Angie. She was not really out long. She was signed to Atlantic Records because Troop released their second album, Attitude, which is their most successful album, probably my favorite album by Troop. They released their album in '89 on Atlantic Records, and then Angie she released On a Mission on Atlantic Records in '89, and that's a really good album. She was involved in all of the production, as well as group member Eddie Irons from Brick. He you know that group from the '70s, Brick. He produced on the album, so that's a real good one too. On a Mission, that's a real good New Jack Swing album from '89. You know, you had Rhythm Nation was out in '89. Um, there was Jody Watley, Larger Than Life. So I feel like Angie and Tyler Collins they kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit because their albums was out in '89 as well. So you know you had the big people, you know, like Janet, she was big on the charts, you know.
Yeah. And speaking of truth, let's just pray for Reggie,
Reggie,
who's
yeah,
in bad condition right now.
yeah, yeah. I've heard about that. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that group. So definitely
Yeah,
gonna you know keep him in my
they're
prayers.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that group. And then Reggie, he had the dye on the side of his head. You know, like you know the hairstyle he had. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know how you see guys wearing that in their head. Well, back when I was like in middle school, because I'm a '90s baby, so I was in middle school in like the early
Same
2000s.
with
So
me.
yeah, so they used to wear their hair like dyed on the side, and I'm like, that's been out. Reggie had that back in the '80s, you know, with
Hmm.
with Troop, you know.
And this is something that people need to keep in mind. People think that Morris Day wasn't part of the New Jack Swing era, but he was. Have you ever heard of his 1992 album Guaranteed?
Yep, yep, yeah,
Yeah. Nobody. I haven't heard anybody talk about that album.
yeah.
The anniversary of that album.
Yeah, because I have
Everybody
that
talks
album
on
on
that
my station
album.
too. I have like a song off the album on my station. So yeah.
Mhm.
Um it's a lot of people who were not New Jack Swing artists who actually released New Jack Swing singles. Like Morris Day had a New Jack Swing album. And Earth, Wind and Fire.
Guaranteed.
Hmm?
Guaranteed. That came out in
Yeah,
1992.
Guarantee came out in '92, and then Earth, Wind and Fire had a single in like '89. It was with the boys. It was called Heritage. That's a good song too, you know. And then Quincy Jones had the I'll Be Good to You. It was like a New Jack Swing jam in '89. Um, then you had Al Green, As Long as We're Together, you know. There's a lot of artists that weren't considered New Jack Swing who actually released New Jack Swing singles and they actually crossed over and, you know, released albums.
And for sorry for cutting you off, Eugene Wild. He had a few New Jack Swing songs.
Eugene Wow, yep, yep. Yep. I he had the How About Tonight, I Can't Stop This Feeling. Those are like, you know, New Jack Swing.
Hmm.
And then Lilo Thomas, a lot of people don't really talk about him. Um, he was like with the funk and stuff. His first two albums were more like funk. Those came out in the early '80s. In '87, he had released his third album, Lilo, which I believe was his most successful album. And it was like the hard beats, like I'm in Love, songs like that with the hard beats. Because if you listen to that album, you're gonna hear a lot of hard hip hop beats, and
Uh-huh.
that's considered like New Jack Swing too. He had a song called "Sexy Girl," that was a good one too, and
Hmm.
yeah, that was
Sexy
yeah,
girl.
yeah, that's a jam right there. So yeah, a lot of people you got to dig deep into it. You know, you can't
Hmm.
just center it on these few artists. Like no, you got to broad, you got to basically dig deep into it to really understand the genre.
Hmm.
You got to dig deep into it. And
Yeah. You gotta listen to it. You gotta listen to it, read about it. And there's this girl group that was discovered by Gerald Lever. They call One of the
yeah,
Girls.
I heard of them too.
And like I don't know anything about them. I just like recently heard about them.
Yeah, I've known about them for a couple of years now. I haven't really listened to their stuff really much, but I've heard of them.
Mhm.
I feel like eventually I'll probably go and listen to it because it's a lot of artists that I will go online on YouTube and I'll listen to like Bobby Brown or something, and then I'll
Mhm.
see some suggestions of some artists to listen to, and it would be a lot of rare stuff. And I'll never go to the video, and then all of a sudden I just end up going to it. I'm like, oh, this is really good. Let me see what this group is about. Let me listen to them. And then you fall in love with it because you're
Mhm.
like, this is a jam right here. How do people sleep on this?
Mhm.
Because there's a lot of good groups from the New Jack Swing era that people slept on, and I collect New Jack Swing CDs and stuff,
Mhm.
so I got a lot of rare stuff at my house. So
Mhm.
yes, it's a lot of good stuff. Like it's this group, they're called LaRue. They came out in the late
LaRue.
80s. LaRue.
Name sounds so familiar.
Yeah. So they came out in the late 80s, and they released their first album, There's Love Out There, in 1989. And they had a hit single called I Want Your Love. And I believe there was another one called Someone to Love Me for Me or something like that. Is another hit they had. And that's a real good album too. But their second album, so the first album had four members. The second album
Mhm.
had two. So it was Donnie Woodruff and it was Bobby Sanders. Those two were in LaRue. And they released their second album titled Do It for Love in 1991. And they had a hit single, Serious. And then they had another hit single called Wish I Could Find Another. And that album, it turns 30 this year. So I'm definitely going to talk about it on New Jack Flavor, do a post on it because it's a
And
really
I'm gonna
good
start
album.
tuning into your radio station.
Yeah. And I play a lot of them on my radio station, a lot of their music. It's a real good, just every cut on there is good. Like they had worked with producers Vasal. His name is Vasal Benford. He was a good producer during the New Jack Swing era too. He produced for a lot of artists back then. So yeah, that's a real good group.
I
KCM.
gotta check them out.
Yeah, KCM is another one. They released an album in '92 titled Funky Smooth, and members were Carl Solo. Um, what's his name? It was a member named Kevin. Yeah, so it was three members in the group. I know Carl Solo, he was one of the members, and he produced for a lot of artists like in the '90s, like Escape, Aaliyah, all of them. So that's where he started at in that group. And they had a hit called Let Me Groove You in '92, and then they had another one in '92 as well, another hit as well. And that's a really good album as well. And Chris Bender, have you heard of him?
Chris who?
Chris Bender,
Name sounds familiar.
real good artist, destined to be one of a really successful artist. Unfortunately, his life was cut short. He got murdered back in like '91. He was
Mm-hmm.
young, and
It's like that's sad. And like speaking of young artists getting murdered, it's sad. Like for
yeah,
example, MC Trouble,
MC
she
Trouble,
passed
yeah,
away at a very young age.
yeah, yeah, passed away at a very young age. Um, yeah, it was
One of
crazy.
the members of Heavy D and the Boys passed away back in 1990.
Trouble T. Roy, yeah, yeah, and Rex and Effect, Brandon Mitchell passed away. The group Rex and Effect, yeah, he passed away.
It's bad, and that's the main issue in the music in the music industry. I'm talking in general.
Mm-hmm,
I'm not only talking about during in the New Jack Swing era.
mm-hmm.
big artists, like, they die too soon.
Yeah, definitely. Um, like Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston,
Hmm.
they died too soon. And speaking of those two, Michael, the Dangerous album was New Jack Swing.
Yeah.
And then
And
Whitney
Whitney
Houston,
Houston was part of the era as well.
yeah, Whitney Houston had like two New Jack Swing hits. They were considered. I'm Your Baby Tonight. A lot of people, don't really pay attention to it that much, but it has like a New Jack Swing sound in it.
Hmm.
That song and another one called My Name Is Not Susan. That's more of New Jack Swing. So Whitney had about two New Jack Swing hits. But she wasn't, a New Jack Swing artist, but she
Hmm.
contributed to that era with those two singles.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, the greatest, like two of the greatest all time gone too soon.
yeah, greatest of all time, gone too soon. And then the Jacksons, it was Michael and Janet, the real big artists.
Mhm.
Janet's definitely, in my opinion, the queen of pop.
And
She is,
speaking of Janet, I will control the pleasure principle.
yeah.
Wh- What are the New Jack Swing songs from her?
So she had Control, the Pleasure Principle. What Have You Done for Me Lately?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Rhythm Nation, Miss You Much.
Hmm.
Escapade, Love Will Never Do Without You.
Hmm.
Yeah, a lot of New Jack Swing hits. So many, so
Hmm.
many. And Karen White. Now I heard a lot of
Let's
things.
talk about her because
Yeah,
she is amazing. She ages like fine wine.
yeah, and she's the queen of New Jack Swing, in my opinion. Janet, she's the queen of pop. She contributed to the New Jack Swing era. But when you talk about Karen White, it's the voice that she has. Like, she's out of the New Jack female artists, she had the greatest voice, in my opinion. She's definitely considered, in my opinion, more of the queen of New Jack Swing. Because it was talks about,
Hmm.
Karen White. It was the interview she did, and she was talking about the queen. She's definitely, I'll consider her the queen of New Jack Swing when it comes to the female artists. I love all the female artists of that era, but Karen, something about her, she was, her voice, everything, she had it all, as far as a, artist, so.
Hmm. Yeah, she is amazing. Like if people see her perform, like like now and like back in the day, be like, damn, she's a has it, and like she is she's amazing, Karen.
Yeah,
And Pebbles,
yeah,
he was the one that put TLC on.
yeah, real good artist.
Hmm.
Nothing but respect for her. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I have so much respect for Pebbles.
Hmm.
Oops, the TLC to their first album.
Yeah, definitely.
Ain't Too
New
Proud of
Jack Swing.
Bed. What
Yeah, ain't
about your friends?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
like the random dressing, the colors green,
yeah.
yellow, orange, the combat boots.
Yes. SWV, It's About Time.
Hmm.
New Jack Swing as well. You're getting
Jade
into
and Vogue.
In Vogue. Yep. Yep. In Vogue. Classy. They had the more feminine style with the dresses and stuff, but
Uh-huh.
they was part of the New Jack Swing era.
Hmm.
Mint Condition too, part
Yeah.
of that era too.
Hmm.
They had more of that Minneapolis sound, but they were part of New Jack Swing, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's a discussion that
Hmm.
I wanted to have about hip hop soul and the New Jack Swing.
Hmm.
Hip hop soul started in '92 with Mary J. Blige. What's the 411? But if you
Hmm.
look at everything back in '92, the first albums.
But like I'm sorry for cutting you off.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like what people are wondering. People are wondering like why does Mary J. Blige call herself the queen of hip hop soul when she sings R&B? So that's what we need to like let them know.
Yeah, because with New Jack Swing, in '92, hip hop soul started. but New Jack Swing was still riding high. Mary J. Blige was the former one. It's hip hop soul combined with New Jack Swing. It still has elements of New Jack Swing in it. Her second album, that's pure hip hop soul. Pure hip hop soul. Um, TLC on a TLC tip. Hip hop soul, New Jack Swing. Second album, Crazy Sexy Cool, definitely on hip hop soul. SWV, It's About Time, first album, hip hop soul, New Jack Swing.
Mm-hmm.
Then Immature came out in '92 on Our Worst Behavior. Really good album.
Mm-hmm.
Very underrated album. So, they're really good too. And then Intro with Kenny Green, their '93 album, Hip Hop
Mm-hmm.
Soul, New Jack Swing. It's still new. It's still part of New Jack Swing. Aaliyah, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, Hip Hop Soul, New Jack Swing. Probably one of the last really albums to have all that New Jack Swing in it. Her second album, One in a Million, of course, definitely not New Jack Swing, came out in '96. So when you look at it, by the time '95, '96 got here, New Jack Swing pretty much was done. There was Horace Brown. He had a 1996 album. He had a song called "Things We Do for Love" and "One for the Money." Um, some discussions you can't have.
Horace Brown, right? Horace Brown.
Yeah, some discussions
Oh,
you
and
can't.
speaking of Horace Brown, it's like I'm saying to myself, is Horace Brown was signed to Uptown Records, and
Yeah,
Uptown Records is the home of New Jack Swing.
yeah,
And like Horace Brown is like I never heard any New Jack Swing song from him. But like if you look up Horace Brown, they say that part of his genre is New Jack Swing, but I don't think so. It's like real R&B.
yeah. It
You know,
was.
he has
Yeah, you could finish. I'm sorry.
he like had like he has a gangster's like R&B style
Hmm.
of music.
Yeah, Horace Brown, "Things We Do for Love" and "One for the Money." It has some elements of New Jack in them still. I think
Mhm.
'96 that was about. It really wasn't no albums back in '96 that were New Jack Swing. So
Oh, and like LK underscore 1948 says Black Street. If you
Blackstreet.
listen to Black Street's 1994 album,
Yep,
they have a few New Jack Swing songs in it.
yep, yep. I'm happy to have this discussion. So people
Mhm.
can understand.
Yeah, yeah, they need to understand the concept of New Jack Swing. They need to understand, like, what was going on in that era,
Yeah,
behind that era, the artists in that era, for what year to what year it was established, how it started.
yeah. You gotta really dig deep into this to be able to understand. You can't just jump and say, "Oh, Hip Hop Soul came out in '92, so that's the end of New Jack Swing." No, it wasn't the end. It didn't fully end until
New Jack Swing was established in the late 80s,
yeah,
before the two of us were even born.
yeah. It was established in '86, probably the main year. It did kind of start in around '84 because Full Force came out '84. They came out of New York with the hard beats and
Shout
stuff.
out to Bow Legged Lou
Bill Legged Lou, yeah, from Full Force. Shout out to him, Paul Anthony, all the
and
members
Be
of them.
Fine. And
Be
speaking,
Fine.
we're gonna talk about Full Force and Ex Girlfriend, the girl
Ex
group
girlfriend.
that Full Force discovered.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. People don't Most people don't think that Jodeci was part of the New Jack Swing era. They were.
They were.
That video, that video of them like in the train station, I forgot the name of the song. That's a New Jack Swing song.
Exactly. Their first album, definitely part of the New Jack Swing era. And
Hmm.
even the second album, too, with some of the songs they came out with, you know. So, yeah, it's definitely part of the New Jack Swing era.
Hmm.
Um, Usher, Think of You, that came out in '94. That's part of the New Jack Swing era too. He actually came out with Call Me a Mac a year before that, which was part of the New Jack
Shanice,
Swing.
I love your smile. That's New Jack
Yeah,
Swing.
that is, and see, I love this conversation because people need to understand.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, they need to understand. And you know, the thing about it is that most 90s babies, they don't understand, they don't know nothing about New Jack Swing, and they don't know nothing about 90s R&B. We are 90s babies. We are like, young girls with old souls.
yeah,
We know we like, know like almost everything, but like, every day is like when we hear about New Jack Swing, we learn something new.
exactly. Yeah, it's it's a lot to learn, but I love learning new things about it and discovering new artists and
Mhm.
stuff from the era. It's I'm definitely looking forward for years and years to keep discovering
Uh-huh.
people because it's a lot of good New Jack Swing. Um,
Yeah. I listen to New Jack Swing every day as if it just came out like last year, 2020.
yeah, yeah. I'm loving this conversation. I want to thank you for wanting to have this conversation with me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We need to have it. Who sang that song Too Blind to See It?
Too blind to see it. I don't know who sung that. I
Yeah.
gotta go research.
Uh-huh.
I gotta go research that
Yeah,
one.
we gotta go do our homework, LK. Hmm. So Full Force, the 80s they came out with like, amazing songs. Ain't My Type of High, Friends Before
For
Lovers,
lovers,
Temporary Love Thing, All in My Mind.
your love is so deaf.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, a lot of hits. Alice, I want you just for me.
I
Temporary love
want
thing.
you just for me. And let me tell you something. They're not only singers, they're comedians. Especially
Yes,
Bow-Legged Lou.
yes, yeah,
Bow-Legged Lou is he's a comedian. Let me tell you something about Lou. He is very friendly. He's friends with the whole entire world.
yes,
He's
he is.
very down to earth. You met
Yes.
him before, right?
No, I never met him. Never met him.
Oh, yeah, but I'm good friends with Bow-Legged Lou.
Oh, cool, cool.
I'm
Yeah,
good friends with him.
yeah. It would be an honor
Okay.
to meet him one day.
Hmm. Yep, yep. Let's talk about Full Force. Those guys is like, straight out from Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, yeah,
They were part of like, the song Roxanne, Roxanne.
yeah. Roxanne. They did some stuff with UTFO,
Hmm.
Untouchable Force Organization. So yeah, they Lisa and the Cult Jam.
Yeah, Samantha Fox, who's like
Samantha
a
Fox.
British singer. Um, who? Yeah. I wasn't gonna say I forgot, but they have they also like nowadays they sing with Kango King of UTFO,
Yeah,
because Kango, even though like he's a rap legend, he could sing.
yeah.
You know that, right?
I never heard him sing.
You need to hear him sing. Kango Kid of UTFO, he could sing.
Okay.
He performed with Full Force at a couple of showcases, and let me tell you something, he could sing.
Yeah, I gotta go look into that
Yeah.
because I know MC Trouble. She could sing. She was a rapper, but she could sing too. MC Trouble.
Hmm.
Queen
And
Latifah can
she
sing too.
and Lauryn Hill, she raps and she
Yeah,
sings.
Lauryn Hill. Yeah,
But if you can rap and sing, that's oh my gosh, you have that talent.
yeah. And
You
then the
have that
Force
talent.
MDs. They're part of that
Oh
era
yeah,
too.
the Force MDs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were part of the New Jack Swing era. And like, speaking of the four MDs, it's like, I read Stevie D. Lundy's book, and they force started out as the Force MCs.
Force MCs, yep.
And like, a lot was going on with them, like, with Jesse,
Yeah,
because that one right there, he like, messed up the group.
yeah.
Hmm.
The issues he was having with,
Yeah.
drugs and stuff.
Hmm.
And then, the members of the group like TC and
Hmm. It's like, the majority, like, of the members, like, are deceased.
yeah, deceased. Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah.
And I just like, I just like, keep them in my prayers,
Yeah.
because they're one of the most, like, talented brothers in the music industry.
Yeah. Yep. They had some touch and go was a New Jack Swing. It was part of New
Hmm.
Jack Swing, that song by
Yeah.
them. They had a song called One Plus One.
Hmm.
There was Itching for a Scratch, which was their first,
Uh-huh.
hit. It was more of a hip hop hit.
Be mine.
Yep. Forgive Me Girl. Yep.
Hmm. Love is a
Love
house.
is a House. Yep. Are You Really Real?
Tender
That's another
love.
one. hmm Yeah. A lot of you just have to name the New Jack Swing ones. Of course, Tender Love by them is not New Jack Swing. It's more of
Yeah,
a
I know. Love is a house is New Jack Swing,
yeah,
because the dancing, the like, the image in the video.
the production. That's
Hmm.
definitely part of the New Jack
Uh-huh.
Swing era.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Force MDs, Full Force. Yep, it's a lot of New Jack Swing. Johnny Kemp, he was a good artist too.
Yeah, just got paid. God
hmm
rest his soul. It's like, he was the reason why everybody got on the dance floor Friday night. Just
Yeah.
got paid. You got paid every other week, every week on a Friday. You got that check. You head straight on the dance floor. You start dancing at your workplace.
Yeah, he was very talented.
Hmm.
Besides just got paid, everybody looks at him for that hit, but he actually was a really good artist. He had some good songs, like he had Dancing for Myself. That was another hit from him.
Hmm.
He had the birthday hit called Birthday Suit. And if you really listen to the album Secrets of Flying with Just Got Paid, it's a really good album. He has a song called Just Like Flying.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's I think he was a talent. Listening
Hmm.
to the album, I believe he can sing.
Hmm.
Real good artist. Keith
Yeah.
Sweat.
Yeah, Keith Sweat, one of the main reasons he's like, one of the kings of New Jack Swing.
Yeah,
I'll be sure.
yeah. Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I
You
could
just
name male artists, it would be Keith Sweat, Bobby Brown, Al B. Sure, Babyface, the Pioneers,
Laverne,
Levert, Ralph Tresvant, Johnny Gill,
Christopher Williams.
Christopher Williams, yeah, Chris Bender. They had some a male singer. His name was Lorenzo. He was real good too.
Hmm.
He's part of the New Jack Swing era too. He's one of those
Hmm.
rare artists. But Lorenzo, um, Grady Harrell, shout out to him. He had an album in '89 called "Come Play with Me." That's a real good one. He had a
Hmm.
hit called "Fun" and "Sticks and Stones." You gotta go listen
Hmm.
to those. Real good
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah. I'm gonna do my homework. I'm gonna listen to New Jack Swing all night tonight, because I need to learn, like, more about New Jack Swing, and
Mhm.
like, I need to know about the artists that I never heard before.
Yes. When you look at the record labels back then, you had the MCA records where Bobby Brown was signed to, Pebbles was signed to, Jody Watley was signed to, MCA records. The Boys were signed to Motown. The Good Girls, which are my favorite girl group, shout out to them. They had two albums, but
And the girls, and
the
like, what
girls,
we need to keep in mind, what who you people need to know the difference. the good girls, the girls. Two different groups. They're not the same. Their names did not change.
Yes. And then New Choice was another one. They were out of Sacramento, California. You got to go look them up.
And
They
Nothing Nice, Froggy
Nothing nice.
Style.
Yeah, nothing nice. Yeah, you got to go look up New Choice because they came out around the same time the girls came out. So those were the first two groups. New Choice had a hit called "Cold Stupid." They had another one called "Funny Feeling."
Mm-hmm,
So they're a good group too. And if you listen to their album, first album, that's a really good one too. They definitely put West Coast New Jack Swing on the map. Shout out to Jay King of Club Nouveau. He
mm-hmm,
was part of that sound, the West Coast New Jack Swing sound, the California New Jack
yeah.
Swing sound. Foster and McElroy, producers from LA. They
Mm-hmm,
brought out In Vogue and all that stuff. Definitely West Coast pioneers. You know, when you look at New Jack Swing, you can't just look at the East Coast. You got to look at the West Coast too. You know,
mm-hmm,
Club Nouveau, New Jack Swing, definitely. Life, Love, and Pain,
mm-hmm.
album in '86, definitely New Jack Swing.
Yep.
Going to the West Coast, Z
Mm-hmm,
Look, that's another group from the West Coast. They had a hit called Love Sick, Can You Read My Lips? You know, they had a string of hits. You know, they had two albums, one in '88 and one in '91. Real good group. And there's another one they're called Coming of Age. They came out in '93. They're a rare, underrated New Jack Swing group out of Cali. Real good group. Um, People in Cali, the Boys, Carson, California, very talented group. Hakeem Abdul Samad from the Boys, the second oldest. He used to produce on a lot of people's stuff from the New Jack Swing era, like Shanice. You know, a lot of artists. You know,
mm-hmm. And
definitely.
one of the members of Tony Tone discovered, like, a group. I forgot their name.
Mhm.
You know the name that one of the members of Tony Tone discovered.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that one.
Hmm. I
Yeah,
I think it was Coffee Brown or Lucy Pearl. And speaking of those two groups, is when, like, those, the groups I'm talking about,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
When you think about them, they have, like, a few New Jack Swing sounds in their music.
Raphael Sadiq, he had discovered Lucy Pearl. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I know what you're talking about. They had a song called "I Want to Dance Tonight." That's our era right there.
Hmm.
You talk about our era. Yeah, the early 2000s. You know, that's our era.
Yep. Hmm. So let's talk about ex-girlfriend.
Ex-girlfriend. Yeah.
Ex-girlfriend, like, a lot of people don't know who they are. But when, like, I heard about ex-girlfriend, I was like, I need to listen to their music.
Yeah.
And when I saw the video, Why Don't You Come Home? Oh my God. I was like, these are one of the most baddest girl groups in the New Jack Swing era. If you
Yes.
see the choreography, oh my gosh, it is
Yes.
so dope and bad.
Yeah. Ex-girlfriend. Yeah, that's a good group too. You know, I listen to
Yeah.
them from time to time as well. Um,
Mhm. I
Definitely
listen
like,
to
yeah.
them like most of the time now,
Mhm.
and we need to talk about those two albums, X's on the Spot, which is their first album,
Mhm.
and the second album, It's a Woman's Thing.
Yeah. So, I know the X marks the spot. I've listened to that. Now the second one, I
It's
haven't
a
really
woman
listened to that one.
thing.
Yeah, I never really listened to that, but my dad, he has that around the house. That CD from Ex Girlfriend. You know, he was a
Hmm.
fan of them too, the Ex Girlfriend. Never
Hmm.
really got into the second album because I'm a New Jack Swing fanatic, so I
Hmm.
kind of just I listen to '90s music too. Um, but I'm more of a late '80s, early '90s.
Same with me. Same with me.
You know, a lot of people they do say '90s was the greatest era of music. You know, don't get me wrong, but I love late '80s, early '90s over that. You know, that's just what I like.
Same with me. I listen to 80s music, like 70s,
Yeah,
early 90s.
yeah. Instead of like listening to New Jack Swing, sometimes I listen to funk music. That's actually like my next favorite. Like I listen to New Jack Swing every day, but I don't just listen to New Jack Swing. I listen to other genres too, like funk
Yeah.
music. Yeah.
And like speaking of funk, Morris Day is the king of funk music. Um, he has two other solo albums before his 1992 album.
Mm-hmm.
One that came out in 1980 seven, and the other
Mm-hmm.
that came out in 1980 I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fishnet.
Yeah, Fishnet. That was in the 19 oh, that's one of the songs that was in the 1987 album.
Yeah.
Morris Day has three solo albums.
Yeah.
One that came out, I think, 1985 or 1986.
Mm-hmm.
One that came out in 1987, which we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
with like fishnets in it. The name of the album is Daydreaming, I believe.
Yeah.
And the third solo album, Guarantee, that we discussed earlier,
Yeah.
um, came out in 1992.
Yeah.
You need to listen. You listen to his 1992 album, right?
Yeah, I've heard a couple of
It's
cuts, and I
dope.
like this song called May. It's called "Meant to Be Together." That's a good one off that CD. "Meant to Be Together," real good New Jack Swing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Meant to be together, deeper circles
Mhm.
of love.
Mhm. Yeah, real good group. I mean, real good
Hmm.
artists. We was
Hmm.
talking about groups, so I'm just like real good group. We're
Hmm.
talking about groups and artists. So.
Morris Day, he has a group, which is the time.
Yeah, the time. Yeah. Um, a lot of good music during that time.
Hmm.
There's another artist. His name is Dino. He was a white guy. He came out in 87, 88. He had his first single called "Summer Girls" that came out in 87, and then in I think it was no, it was 88. It came out because the album came out in 89. So he released his first single, "Summer Girls," in 88, and then he released 24/7, which was his album, in 89. He's part of like freestyle music. They consider him part of the freestyle era. With freestyle music artists back then, like Lisa and Nicole Jam, they're considered
Hmm.
like
Yeah, freestyle
free.
like.
Yeah, yeah. So 24/7 is definitely part of New Jack Swing. It would be R&B, pop, freestyle, dance, and New Jack Swing. He had a song called "Sunshine." I like it. Real good artist. You gotta go look him up.
Hmm.
Real good artist. He's part of the New Jack Swing era, definitely.
And speaking of like the guy that you mentioned, that you said he's white and
Mhm.
like he's part of the New Jack Swing. Let's talk about New Kids on the Block.
Yes. So we're gonna talk about "Face the Music" in '94.
The
Yeah,
right stuff.
and the right stuff. You know what? I like where we're going with this
Hmm.
because that did have elements of New Jack Swing in it. A lot of people don't talk about it. You know, you know
Hmm.
how you say during this time they say they're not ready for that conversation though.
But they better be ready, and
Be
we're gonna have it
ready.
now. If you're not ready, that's your problem. If you're ready, come on in.
Yeah, be ready for it because that's the truth. The right stuff. They had another one called "What You Gonna Do About It" on the album. That's New Jack Swing too.
Hmm.
That's it. The whole album definitely wasn't New Jack Swing, but those two singles definitely were New Jack Swing singles. So they introduced us on that album, and then on the Face the Music album, that's when they wanted to get into something different. They worked with Teddy Riley,
Hmm.
um, a lot of producers on that album, Leon Silvers. Um, yeah, they Face the Music is a real good album from the New Jack Swing era.
Hmm. The new kids on the block, they know how to two step. They could dance, and
Yes.
like they have style.
Very talented group. Yeah.
Hmm.
I love New Kids on the Block.
Mm-hmm.
Boston, artists coming out of Boston, New Edition, New Kids on the
Mm-hmm.
Block, and there were some other New Jack Swing ones like Perfect Gentleman.
Mm-hmm. And sorry for cutting you off.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of New Edition, people like need to keep in mind that Johnny Gill, who was part of the New Jack Swing era, was the sixth member, and he is the only one in New Edition that's not from Boston. And we need to tell the
Yeah.
people how did he get in New Edition, and he's
Yes.
not the only one from Boston.
Yeah. And yeah. He's not from Boston. Definitely.
He's from
Just
DC.
yeah, just from DC. But
DC boy, chilling with the Boston boys.
yeah, DC Boy, and then there was a group called Perfect Gentleman. Maurice
Mm-hmm.
Starr's son was in it. It was a short-lived group. Um, they released an album called Rated PG in 1990.
Mm-hmm.
They had a song called One More Chance, Move Me, Groove Me. Those are like New Jack Swing hits. There was another group called Finest Hour. They're a rare group, very rare.
Mm-hmm.
They had this single in '89 called "Make That Move,"
Yeah.
and they were actually on an episode of Video Soul with Donnie Simpson. I know you heard of that before.
Yeah.
So they got interviewed on there back in I think '89 or '90. I believe they mentioned something about New Edition. They were talking about Boston groups. Unfortunately, those groups didn't last long coming out of Boston. There was another white group coming out of Boston too called For Fun. They came out in like the early '90s and they had a song called "You Can't Play Me." It didn't work out, unfortunately. You know, they were coming out of Boston too, and actually they knew Michael Bivins because I was looking on YouTube one day and I seen like a video. I believe they were on something with Belle Biv DeVoe. It was some type of it was like
Mm-hmm.
a Boston Music Awards or something.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
speaking of Michael Bivins, he was the one that put 702 on, and he's a mogul.
yeah, another Bad Creation, Boys to Men. Yeah,
Yeah. Hmm. And he was in the he did a little talking in the Motown Philly video, in the
yeah,
Aisha video.
yeah, yeah. Nothing but respect to Michael Bivins, for the
Hmm.
doors he's opened
He's
in
a
the music.
wonderful husband. He's a wonderful father.
Hmm. Yeah, and I want to get into two producers. Timmy Gatlin. He produced for a lot of people during the New Jack Swing era. Like
Hmm.
Jasmine Guy, she released her first album in 1990, which is a good album. She was an actress, but she had an album.
Yeah, and do you know who else sing? Let's talk about actresses in the New Jack Swing era
Yeah.
that could really sing.
Hmm.
Jasmine Guy, Tashina Arnold, Tisha Campbell, and Connie Vaughn.
Yes, Countess Vaughn. I was just listening to her CD yesterday. Yeah, real good artist. Um, yeah, Timmy Gatlin, he did a lot of work in the industry. I'm just,
Hmm.
trying to give him his props, with producing. And Alton Wokey Stewart, he's another one that
Hmm.
produced back in the day too, for Belleville, DeVoe, Jade. You got to go look into the production that they done. You got to give Timmy Gatlin his credit. He was the one of the original members of Guy. He done a lot of stuff in the industry, had his own solo work, so yeah,
Yep.
a lot of good producers back then.
Yep. And we need those great producers again, like today. Where
Yeah.
are all those producers from back in the day? Where are them today?
Yeah, where are they today? uh, Music definitely has changed. Even from when we were kids, it's
Hmm.
it's changed, and I think the early two
Hmm.
thousands was probably the last real good era.
Hmm.
The era we grew up in was the last good era of music. It probably wasn't as good as the '90s or the '80s, but that was the last era that had some real timeless music. No disrespect to the new era because there are some good artists out now.
Yeah, yeah. Like for an example, her,
Mm-hmm.
Melanie, Fiona.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is a great artist?
Um,
Jasmine Sullivan, she's been out for quite a
yeah,
while
she's
now,
been out for a while. Yeah,
since 2008. She's a good artist.
Chloe and Holly. You heard of them?
Chloe and Holly. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I heard of them. I never listened to their music. How
yeah.
were they?
They're good. They can sing and stuff. You should, go look into it. I've heard some of that stuff. I'm really a New Jack Swing fanatic, so I haven't been listening to really
Yeah,
that
yeah.
new music. But
I listen to New Jack Swing like every day, and like that's like the topic and the purpose of this like conversation.
yeah, um,
And speaking of New Jack Swing, back in 2018, Bruno Mars and
yeah,
Cardi B, dripping with finance. That's
yeah,
the name of the song.
yeah,
They have like a little New Jack Swing flavor in it.
yeah, yeah.
What did you think about the song and the video?
Good. I was like, somebody's paying homage to New Jack Swing.
Hmm.
That's a
Hmm.
era music that you should give credit to. You know,
Hmm.
I'm I was you know very pleased to see something like
Hmm.
that. I'm like, wow, this is keep it alive.
Hmm.
Definitely show the new generation,
Yeah.
what it was all about back in the day. So I commend Bruno
Hmm.
Mars for doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I'm a fan of Bruno Mars. I love
Good,
his music. I love
good
his
stuff.
style. And he reminds me of the junior version of Morris Day.
You know what? You're right.
Hmm.
Now that I'm thinking like the style and stuff, like yeah, yeah,
And a few years ago he performed with Morris Day on the same stage. I forgot what show.
hmm
Right?
yeah. I had missed that performance, but I know he performed with a lot of people from back in the day and stuff. I've heard about that. Um,
Hmm.
but I've listened to some of the album as well, and also I've seen the finesse video and all that.
Hmm.
He hasn't released an album since that.
Hmm.
I think, yeah. I wonder what he's gonna come out with next.
Hmm.
what the next
Hmm.
what the
Um,
next thing will be
well, for Morris,
for Bruno Mars.
Bruno
Yeah,
Mars,
because
yeah, I
he
love
came
his
out with that and
music.
then left. Yeah,
Hmm. And speaking, like Morris has a new single out with Trinidad James.
Trinidad James. Okay.
And he look Morris, like he ages like fine wine. You know how earlier I said Carrie White ages like fine wine. Morris ages like fine wine,
Yeah,
and
he looks good for his
he
age.
sounds good.
Yeah, looks good for his age. Real good for his age.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um.
A New Jack Swing. How it's like imagine if they bring back New Jack Swing this year of 2021. I wonder how that would be.
I wanted to,
Hmm.
but it's nothing like the old New Jack Swing, the original.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's nothing like the original. That classic. When they,
Hmm.
now they're using like a lot of stuff is kind of more like internet based. Back then they used like they were actually playing instruments in the studio along with the stuff. With
Hmm.
New Jack Swing, they had that little machine they used to use to make the beats. But
Hmm.
you know, now it's like very digital making the beats. Very digital, like
Hmm.
on this computer screen, very digital.
Yep. Yep. It's like the designs, so like the dancing, the rapping, like the singing. It just like get me in the mood every time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's like take it back to 1990. Color Me Bad and the Marky Mark and the Funky
Yeah,
Bunch.
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Yep.
That Good
Good
Vibrations.
vibrations. Yep.
It's like that gets you moving and
Yeah.
grooving.
Yep. Good vibrations.
Let's talk about that song because that put everybody in the mood.
Yeah. one of the biggest songs of 1990. People
Mm-hmm.
we weren't born at that time, but people were hearing that a lot
Mm-hmm.
of good vibrations. My mom was talking about that because she was like 20. you know,
Yeah. And back in 1990, if you 20, you old as hell. You retire from everything.
yeah. I was born when the New Jack Swing era was almost coming to a close.
I was born 4 years later, after New Jack Swing came out.
4 years later, okay.
Hmm.
So you were born in 90.
Yeah.
90, okay, yeah. I was born in
Hmm.
95. Yeah.
All right.
Millennials.
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Millennials. That's what we are.
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Good vibrations. Where's Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch now?
Yeah. Where are they now?
Hmm.
I know Mark Wahlberg was doing acting and stuff, in the acting world.
And speaking of Mark, a while ago he was like the spokesperson for this water brand.
Hmm.
And he was working kind of collaborating with Diddy.
Yeah. yeah. He was supposed to be in New Kids on the Block, but
Oh,
unfortunately,
okay.
he was in,
And,
he ended up going to jail at the time. In
hmm.
in Boston, the streets and stuff back then. You know,
Hmm.
he was supposed to be in, but I'm glad he got his life together.
Hmm.
He ended up, getting out of jail, doing Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Hmm.
Um, all
Hmm.
the New Kids on the Block crew. I'm proud of them.
Hmm.
Coming out of Boston.
Hmm.
I'm proud of New Edition, all the groups coming out of
Hmm.
Boston. It's real good music.
Yeah. And it's sad, these great singers in the New Jack Swing eras, they're not who they used to be. It's they are messed up in their head. They'd be like, what happened? Like they were everybody's every girl's crush.
Hmm. Yeah, during the New Jack Swing era. That's true.
Yeah, they were every girl's crush. It's like nowadays people would be like, what the hell happened to him?
well, people are older, but during the New Jack Swing era, there's a lot of artists. They really look good for their age. For back
Yeah.
then, having aged a bit. You know,
Hmm.
um, all the
Hmm.
artists from back then, nothing but love and respect for all of them.
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
real good artists from back then.
Yeah.
So many, a big family
Hmm.
of artists.
Yeah. And now that we finished talking about Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, let's go right into Color Me Bad. I want to sex you up. And when I want to sex, people need to know, and most people don't know this. I want to sex you up is one of the soundtracks to the 1991 film New Jack City.
yep. yep.
Let's talk about that song and the film New Jack City.
New Jack City. Yep. One time before I was like, let me go ahead and watch New Jack City.
Hmm.
I've been seeing it on TV, little snippets of it, reruns of the movie on channels, and I'm like, I never watched the whole thing. I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and watch this movie, and
Hmm.
I loved the movie when I seen it. I was like, oh, you know,
Hmm.
interesting storyline. New Jack City. Um,
Hmm.
a
Yeah.
lot of artists contributed to that soundtrack. You know, um, Ice T, New Jack Hustler,
Uh-huh.
definitely a New Jack Swing anthem. Even though it was
Chris
like,
Rock, Chris Rock, that lady that was in the Fox drama series Star,
mm-hmm,
Michael Michelle, yeah,
yeah,
Wesley Snipes,
Wesley Snipes,
Bill
Alan
Nunn,
Payne.
God rest his soul,
Mm-hmm.
Vanessa Williams, the we just got to keep in mind there are two different
Yeah.
Vanessa Williams, the singer and the actor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Christopher Williams, Kareem Akbar.
Yeah. Real good movie. Um
Hmm.
they had a Strictly Business film. That's a real good one too.
Yeah, man. Speaking of Strictly Business, You Called and Told Me by Jeff Red, who, like, I know, who I know personally.
Okay, cool.
Mhm, I know personally. You Called and Told Me is the main soundtrack of that movie. But before we talk about Strictly Business, we haven't finished talking about New Jack City
Yeah, I'm
yet.
sorry. I went on
Let's
this.
talk about the soundtrack. It's not Groove Me was played in New Jack City.
Yep.
When, like, Wesley Snipes and the crew came in the club, and Flavor was like, "Yo, my boy, Nino, he's in the building."
Hmm. Yeah, they had the New Jack City song by Guy in
Mm-hmm.
the movie.
New Jack and Dreaming by Christopher Williams.
Yep.
And that song by Queen Latifah. I forgot
With
the
Troop,
name.
it's For the Love of Money. Laverne,
Yeah.
Troop, Queen
Mm-hmm.
Latifah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Queen Latifah was part of the New Jack Swing era as well. We got to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Um, this is something that the people need to know.
Yeah, you got to look at. It's a website called Discogs. It's spelled
Hmm.
Discogs. If you go on that website, you can see when you look at the albums, what's
Hmm.
in the albums. Like it'll say R&B, soul, and it'll say swing, hip hop, soul. It can have it all mixed
Hmm.
together. This is what it is.
Hmm.
Yep. Yeah, you had hip hop artists that contribute to
Hmm.
the New Jack Swing era, like Cool Mo D,
Yeah.
a couple of hits by him, and then of course Redhead, Kingpin, and the FBI. They're definitely part of the golden age hip hop, but more so New Jack Swing. Redhead,
Hmm.
Kingpin, and the FBI, Rex and Effect,
Hmm.
groups like that.
Hmm. And we also need to let the people know the songs by Queen Latifah during the New Jack Swing era. Fly Girl, Come Into My House.
Coming to my house.
That would just keep people moving and
Yeah,
grooving. The style, like, the image in the video.
yeah.
So let's move right on to Strictly Business. You called and told me that was the main soundtrack of that movie by Jeff Red.
Yeah. Good song. The soundtrack, one of the best New Jack Swing soundtracks, to be honest. Strictly
Hmm.
Business. Real good soundtrack.
Hmm.
Jodeci had a song called Let's Fly on there. Stephanie Mills had a song, I Just Want Love, that was part of the New Jack Swing era. Father MC, Go Natalie.
Hmm. Go, Natalie. Yeah.
Yes, man. Man, that's a good song right
Mhm.
there. Uh, Heavy D in the
Father
booth.
MC featuring Jodeci. We gotta keep on remind the name of that song. What's the name of that song?
Treat them like they want to be treated.
Yeah.
And then he had another one with them called Everything's Gonna Be All Right with Jodeci as well. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah, Father MC,
Hmm.
definitely part of that era. Um, he has
And
some new
we
music
need
out
to talk
too.
about Basic Black because
Basic Black.
they are labeled as like second to Guy.
Yeah, real good group. Basic Black. Nothing but a party. Whatever it takes. She's mine. The album, they had a song called "Give Your Love to Me" on the album.
Hmm.
Real good album. Yeah, Basic Black, definitely a group that should be mentioned from the New Jack Swing era. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah, and people need to, like, they need to keep those that group in mind. They have like their own logos, shirts,
Yeah,
hats. They have like the latest single, like, which we have to listen to.
yeah. And then Riff.
Yeah, Riff.
Yeah, Riff. Every time my heart beats. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good songs too. Riff.
Mm-hmm.
Today.
Tony Terry,
Yeah.
Bad Girl.
Yeah. Tony Terry, that girl. And speaking of Tony Terry, dig deep into it. His first album came out '87. It was called Forever Yours. New Jack Swing. When you want to hear hard beats and R&B, a lot of people keep saying they think that his first album came out in '90,
Mm-hmm.
but his first album came out in '87. That's when he came
Mm-hmm.
out. Um, he had a hit called "Lovey Dovey," "She's Fly," "Young Love."
Bad
Real,
Girl. Love
yeah,
you. Love you.
yeah. You gotta go back
Mm-hmm.
because he came out before 1990. Definitely.
Yeah,
Um,
you know.
yeah. Um, a lot of people don't really talk about his first album, but really, really good album.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Joe, he had a song called "I'm in Love." The singer Joe.
Oh, like in the beginning of the song is like that Jamaican guy's like the lover man Joe.
Yeah. 1993 album. Um, that's a good one too. Hip
Mm-hmm.
hop soul, New Jack Swing. You say hip hop soul slash New Jack Swing.
And what
Basically.
people need to like keep in mind is that even though like these the majority of these artists that we mentioned, like even though like they're not labeled as like New Jack Swing artists, in some of their music is like this New Jack Swing,
Yeah.
the singing, the rapping.
Yeah. Tony Braxton's first album. It's a couple of
Hmm.
New Jack Swing hits on there. Hip hop
Yes,
soul slash New
absolutely.
Jack Swing. How Many
Hmm.
Ways?
Hmm.
I Belong to You. You know, it's a couple of them, at least 4 or 5 tracks on there.
Brian McKnight,
Yeah, after 7. Yep.
after seven, heat of the moment.
Heat of the Moment.
That's a New Jack Swing song.
Can't Stop.
Hmm.
Yeah, real good album.
Yeah.
After 7 and their album in '89, real good album. And I was gonna mention Today.
Oh, today, why you funky on me?
Yep. Girl, I got my eyes on
Shout
you.
out to Big Bub.
Big Bub of Today. Chief of Today. Yeah. All the members of Today. Real good group. Motown. The
Yep.
Motown crew. The boys, the good girls today.
Yep.
The Motown
Shout
crew.
out to them.
Yeah, the Motown crew. Shout out to them.
Hmm.
MC Trouble. Yeah. Um, Colin England. He was another one on Motown. He only released 2 albums, but he's a good one too. He had a song called "I Got What You Need." Out
Hmm.
of Control. He released an album in '91 and he released one in '93. So
Hmm.
he was on Motown as well. Yeah,
Hmm.
Motown.
Motown, the oldest record label.
They
And
put
nowadays
Motown back
they
on the map.
it's like, and Motown is like, I'm like disappointed in them because they signing these artists that are not even talented.
Oh wow, I didn't
They
know that.
signed the Migos to Motown Records.
I don't know who they are. Yeah, I don't know who they are, but yeah.
Offset that's Cardi B's husband.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the members of the Migos.
The Migos, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I was like, what is Motown doing?
Motown, it was good in the '70s and the early '80s. Around the time, like into like the mid '80s, they kind of folded a little bit. And then what picked up their momentum was actually the group The Boys getting signed
Hmm.
there. The Good Girls, and Today they kept Motown on the map in the late '80s and early '90s. They kept that label on the map. They brought it
Hmm.
back. They brought Motown back definitely. Yeah, Motown is not what it used to be.
Yeah.
Not what it used to be.
Yeah, I just hope it goes back to how it used to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's crazy. These record labels, they gotta do better.
Yeah.
Epic, Atlantic,
Yeah.
Motown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Motown. Yeah.
And like and let's talk about like some of the artists that have been blackballed from like the New Jack Swing era.
Yeah.
No, it was tough
Yeah. Tough.
getting the deal back in that era.
Tough. Yeah. Tough getting a deal.
Hmm. The people that it's like some of the people that put these artists on,
Mhm.
they were giving them hard times.
Yeah. Hard times. You gotta look at those contracts. You know. Um. Gotta look at the contract, because if you don't look at the contract, you'll get taken advantage of.
Uh-huh.
You get taken
And that's
advantage of.
what most of the artists went through. They were taken advantage of. They were used.
Yeah. You gotta look at the contract.
They were blackballed.
Yeah. Yeah. Like New Edition, they had some hard times, as far
Hmm.
as with the record labels and stuff.
Yeah.
Things got better for them, I think when they released Heartbreak. They
Hmm.
got out of that bad deal. They started working with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
They went through a lot with Brooke Payne.
Yeah. He was a good manager. I
Yeah.
think just those other people that were involved and stuff, they weren't good to New Edition. Um,
Hmm.
you know, more 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 money during Heartbreak. I'm pretty sure. Definitely wasn't how it was when they were, the other albums and stuff that they came out with prior to
Hmm.
that. Yeah. Bobby Brown, King of Stage.
Yeah.
Real good album. I
Hmm.
know Don't Be Cruel is the most successful one, but King of Stage put them on the map too. Real good album, King of
Yeah.
Stage. Um,
Labeled the king of R&B. You need to don't be cool, my prerogative.
yeah.
Wow. Like what the name of the his other Jack Swing songs?
Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
I'll Be Good to You. Humping Around. That's the Way Love Is. Get Away. A lot of hits. A lot of New Jack Swing hits. On Our Own from Ghostbusters. Yeah.
And Escape. Love on My Mind.
Yes,
Just
yes. Hip hop soul, New Jack Swing, definitely. Yep.
it's like the style, the dancing,
Just
even
kicking it.
mhm, Love on My Mind, and Just Kicking It are two of the songs that were part of the New Jack Swing era.
Yep. Yep. Just
Even
kicking it.
though, even though they weren't like part of it, it's like the dancing, the style.
Yeah, definitely.
Tevin Campbell,
Tevin Campbell. Yep. Um, just ask me.
yeah.
Goodbye.
Hmm.
Um, I'm ready.
Hmm.
Can we talk? Yeah.
Can We Talk? I don't think that's a new Jack Swing song.
Well,
It's not
it's like hip hop soul. It got some elements of New Jack Swing in it, kind of like dum 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 dum. If you really listen to it, yeah.
because it's like they played the song like all the time on the radio.
Yeah,
And
if
I
you
was
if you it's like Elements. It came out in '93, but it's like Elements. It still wasn't fully over with at that time.
Johnny Gill, Rub Me the Right Way, Fit with a Friend, Wrap My Body Tight.
Yeah,
It's like those three songs is like, oh my God. Johnny Gill has been in the game like since the early 80s. He's
yeah,
strong.
yeah,
It's like those. three songs that I mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
it's like what comes to your mind when you think about those songs?
You mean Fair Weather Friend?
It rub me the right way
Rub Me the
and
Right Way.
slap your body tight.
Love.
Yeah.
Inspirational, just inspirational song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely New Jack Swing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely New Jack Swing. They had like a remix to Wrap Your Body Tight. That's more of a New Jack Swing sound than the album version. The album version is still New Jack Swing too. It's just a little slower.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I cause
Mm-hmm.
by the way, I got that on my station, Wrap My Body Tight.
Mm-hmm.
The album version. You know. Not
Mm-hmm.
really not the remix version, but the album version definitely.
Yeah. It's like I need like did his thing with that song and in the all three videos.
Mm-hmm.
And like let's next topic of that era, let's talk about the style.
The
It was
dressing.
the meat.
Yeah.
Like the bamboo earrings.
The flies era.
Hmm.
Bomber
And
jackets, windbreakers.
mhm. Let's talk about the earrings first. Speaking of the earrings, Mary J. Blige has her own jewelry line. And like the new collection that came out in her jewelry line is the Fly Girl collection.
Fly Girl collection. I gotta check that out.
It's like it just I was like, oh my gosh. I need to get every pair of this. It has like, the hearts, it's like the oval.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. And Mary J. Blige could dress.
Yep, she could.
She got style.
The hats back in the day, the hat to the back.
Mhm. She
That's my queen.
she always had style from when
And
she
still to
came
this
out.
day, yeah.
Yep,
Still to this day. Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
The biker shorts, the combat boots, the bubble
Mm,
jacket.
yeah. The
And that's
best
hmm
vest during that time.
hmm
Yeah. The sneakers too. The
yeah, the
air flights.
Jericho.
Yeah. Air flights,
But
Adidas,
hmm
Jordans. Yeah.
which type of Jordans were popular back in that era?
The Jordan fours, the number fours, the number fives. I think those are the most popular ones during the New Jack Swing era.
Hmm.
Yeah, the Jordan fours and fives definitely. You see Jordan threes too. Threes, fours, and fives probably
Yeah. Hmm.
the
Yeah.
best ones. Yeah, the best,
Hmm.
the ones that people wore the most.
Hmm.
Then you have the Adidas, the Attitude ones
Hmm.
from back in the day.
Yeah.
You have the Adidas, the Reebok pumps,
Yeah.
all that stuff. The British Knight,
Fila,
Ellie Gear,
Fila.
Feli, yeah,
Right.
yeah, a
And like
lot of
the men they had like that the puffer blazer outfits.
yeah,
The style was crazy. It was amazing.
the best dress era,
Hmm.
the New Jack Swing era, the best dress era.
Yeah.
The suits the men wear, the suits.
Yeah, and like it's not only the men, it's like the it's like on the females, like for example, Janet Jackson, Paula Abdul, they would have like the puffer shoulder rumpers with
Yeah,
like the bushy hair that it goes like this and like
yeah,
this, and like they have the gold earrings.
yeah, yeah. The Jacksons, they released some new Jack Swing too, like Jermaine Jackson.
Hmm.
He had a song called "I Dream." He was on LaFace Records. His album, I believe, came out in '91 on LaFace Records. He worked with
Hmm.
Ellie Reed and Babyface.
Hmm.
He had a song called "Treat You Right" with Babyface.
Uh-huh.
Um, in '89, he had a single called "Don't Take It Personal." It's more of a slower jam, though, but it's yeah. Um,
Mhm.
Jackie Jackson. There's a song called Cruising that he had in '89. That's New Jack Swing. Real good song. It makes you think you're in the car driving
Mhm.
and that song on.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wish I could be in a car with that song on, driving with that song
Mhm.
on.
Yeah.
Cruising.
Hmm.
Randy
When I'm
Jackson.
driving, or when I listen to, like, New Jack Swing, cause I'll be grooving and bumping. I don't care who looks at me.
Yeah. Randy Jackson. He had a group called Randy and the Gypsies. He was very talented out of the Jacksons. He released his album in '89 along with Janet Jackson. She released Rhythm Nation. They were on the same record label in
Hmm.
'89. And he had a hit called Perpetrators, Love You Honey. You got to listen to that album. It's real good. Randy and the Gypsies. It came out in '89. Real good.
Hmm.
Real good album. He was slept on, definitely. Um,
Hmm.
real good voice.
Oh, and like, speaking of there's this group that I don't think nobody never heard of before. It's named Star Point.
I heard of them. Yep.
I I listened to like one of their songs,
Mm-hmm.
but I have to do my homework tonight.
Say You Will by them. It came out '89. I mean '88. That was New Jack Swing. And I Want You, You Want Me. I think that came out like '91, '92. Those are
Hmm.
their two New Jack Swing hits.
Hmm.
They were more like a funk banner. So
Hmm.
those check out those. Those are the two New Jack Swing. Sky, Start of a Romance.
Hmm.
I know you heard that
Yeah.
before. Um,
And I met one of the members twice, and I
oh,
met the
cool.
other members once. They were so sweet.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Sky, and then you
They're
had,
from Brooklyn, like full force.
yeah, they're from New York. Midnight Star. Let's see what's it was. Don't Rock the Boat. That was a New Jack Swing hit. Do It One More Time was a New Jack Swing hit as well. Um, they had a song called Love You Up. That's New Jack Swing too. Um, though that's about it from them. They weren't really a New Jack Swing group, but those are the New Jack Swing songs from them.
Hmm.
Um, the Mac Band, Roses Are Red. Um, they had a song called Someone to Love. That's New Jack Swing too. You
Hmm.
know, these groups are not New Jack Swing, but they had some New Jack Swing hits. So,
Yeah,
a couple of them.
and they have like the rhythm, the dance moves, the
Yeah,
choreography.
yeah. Um, real good groups.
Yeah, it's like the real group. They were like one of the best groups in their era. What happened to them?
Yeah, real good group. Callaway, I Want to Be Rich. The production of that song, New Jack production in it. Um, we gotta talk about the Blue Eyed Soul of New Jack Swing. You know,
The Blue Eye what?
Blue Eyed Soul. When a white person does New Jack Swing,
Yes.
we gotta talk about that. I mentioned Dino earlier. Um,
Hmm. We
Joey
met
Lawrence.
New Kids on the Block, Marky Mark the Funky Bunch, and like Color Me Bad. Even though they had like different like members members that were different races, including
One black member in that group. Um,
oh Millie Vanilli.
Millie Vanilli. Yeah,
You need to,
they lied though.
huh?
They lied about you. Remember
Who lied?
Millie Vanilli? That wasn't actually them singing on that stuff. You heard about the little scandal that happened?
No.
Oh, you gotta look into it. They
Yeah.
basically it was someone else singing that stuff. It wasn't really them.
Girl, you know it's
Yeah,
true.
it was
I
someone
love
else doing it.
you.
Yeah, it was
Oh.
someone else doing it. It wasn't them.
So basically, they were lip singing.
Yeah, it wasn't them. um, they had Joey Lawrence. He was an actor in the '80s and '90s, a white boy. He had a New Jack Swing album in '93. He had a song called "Nothing My Love Can't Fix." And if you listen to the album, it's New Jack Swing tracks on there. Jeremy Jordan, He had a song off of the Beverly Hills soundtrack. I forgot what the song was called. Came out in '93.
Mhm.
It's so much New Jack Swing in my head right
Yeah,
now.
it's like there's it's like we just need to talk about the artists that we never heard before in that era.
Yep. Jeremy Jordan, the Beverly Hills 90210 soundtrack. I know he had a song called "I Want a Girl." That's a New Jack Swing song too. The right kind of love. That's the one by
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy Jordan. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, Albie Sure worked on that album with him too. He's
And
part of some of the production
he
credits.
discovered, I'll be sure discovered the good girls, I think, or the girls.
The girls.
Yeah, the girls. They discovered the girls
His
because
backup singers. Yeah,
mhm,
yeah. The
shout
girls.
out to the girls.
Yeah, the girls. Yeah, real good group. They put it on the map because the groups like the girls and the good girls, they paved the way for groups like TLC, SWV. They did. They paved the way. Because
Mhm.
in the '80s, I don't even think there was that many black girl groups. Um, in the '90s, they had more. You know,
That's
um,
true.
I don't even think it was that many. Yeah, and with the boy groups, it was always a lot of boy groups. I think it was more because it was some in the '70s too, but I think it was more of a success in the '80s and '90s with the boy groups. But yeah, girl groups, those groups put girl groups really back on the map,
Hmm.
and into the '90s, there's so many girl groups. So,
Yeah,
um, and honestly, I don't even think in the early 2000s it was that many girl groups. Um,
it
yeah,
was more of male groups
male groups.
in
Yeah,
the early 2000s
yeah, more of
and more male singers.
male singers too. Yeah. Only female groups I can think of from the 2000s would be, you remember that group Cherish? They had
Cherish, oh yeah,
Cherish. Yeah. Yeah. They was, out for a little minute, Um
and Isis.
ISIS, yeah. Yeah. Um yeah, it really wasn't that many girl groups to be honest in the 2000s. B2K definitely
Hmm.
got groups.
Yep.
B5, they didn't last long, but they were
Hmm.
out too.
And speaking of B2K, B2K was discovered by Steve of Truth.
Steve Troop. Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
that's what I heard,
That's what
but
you heard.
I don't know if it's true because I don't want to state like false information.
I
I
think
need
it
to
was
get
Chris
into that.
Stokes. I know that he worked with B2K though, Steve of Truth. He worked with a lot of people from our era.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
Chris Brown. I believe Chris Stokes discovered him because it was immature first, and then the next era I'm gonna bring out B2K. You know, I think it was Chris Stokes, but Steve did work with them on stuff. Steve worked with a lot of people during our era, um, like Jordan Sparks, No Air. He worked on that. Um, yeah, Steve from Troop did a lot of stuff in the music industry. Yeah, a lot of stuff.
Hmm. We just gotta pray for Reggie that
Reggie.
he gets back on his feet.
Yes, yes. Um, I don't really know. They didn't really tell us what happened.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know how serious the condition is, but just
mhm.
people are just saying that, get well,
Yeah,
Reggie.
yeah, yeah,
Like, let's hope he gets a speedy recovery.
yeah. Regardless of what's going on, I
Hmm.
pray that he everything gets better for him.
Hmm.
Because during this hard time,
Hmm. It's
because I
like
mean
this has been going on for like a year now.
we're in the
But
middle
in
of a
New York,
pandemic. Yeah.
yeah, in New York, this has been going on since March.
Yeah. Um, I live
I
in
don't know
Brooklyn.
when this is gonna end. I just pray it ends this
Yeah.
year in 2021.
Yeah.
Biden is trying his best. You saw that photo on IG when he had like stacks of like folders on his desk.
I don't think I've seen that, but
Yeah.
I know he's trying to work hard to get this
Mhm.
pandemic under control.
Mhm. We
Yeah,
just got to see what Joe and Canola has in store
yeah,
for us in the
yeah,
next 4 years.
yeah. Because we still this is still going on. You know, we've had
Mhm.
other stuff in the
I'm
past.
tired of wearing these masks. I just want to breathe through my nose when I step out the door.
Yeah, you can't breathe with no mask on. I remember one time I was at the hair salon and I had my mask on. I was getting so hot. Like I was like, it's my because I was like, if I get too hot, my nose might bleed. And I'm like,
Mhm.
this mask is tearing me up.
I'm tired of wearing these masks. It's just like, I'm used to wearing it, but like, I'm just tired. Like, you gotta wear your mask everywhere you go.
Yeah,
People, like, they don't pay attention to social distancing.
yeah, it's
Things
crazy.
like things are closing back up again. It's crazy. Once they open back up, they close back up.
Yeah, the reason why this ain't over yet is because everybody's not on the same page. This is the
Hmm.
thing. The only way we're gonna be able to get through this pandemic is if everybody's on the same accord. Wear your mask, social distance.
That's what I say.
That's what you got to do. Every state that's in this needs to be doing that. That's the only way
Hmm.
we're gonna get through this pandemic because it could have been over with. We could have been done with the pandemic in April of 2020 because it really got bad in March. That's when they started closing everything down. April 2020, we would have been in a good place if people would have just been on the same accord. That's the thing. Everybody won't be on the same accord. That's the problem. You know, if they telling you to wear your mask, then wear your mask.
Yeah, wear your mask. It's like they were just acting as if like they made an announcement in the news saying that, oh, we're gonna start wearing your mask soon. You don't need to wear your mask. It's like whenever I see people without their mask, I'll just be so pissed. That's why it's increasing. That's why things are closing back up again. I'll just be so mad.
Yeah, 'cause I'm like, y'all, this is what we going, and I don't. It's it's crazy because I'm thinking like, dang, like we still got enough. Like, when is this gonna be over with? Is it gonna be a couple of years? Because of the way we ain't looking good right now. Nowhere. We red basically. We ain't looking good.
Hmm.
Um.
It's snowing on where I'm at. It's
Yeah.
like is the snow gonna make it better? No. Rain gonna
Yeah.
make it better? No.
Only thing about the snow and stuff is like if you work from home, basically, if it's snowing, you gotta still work. You can't call out no more when it's snowing. When you work from home, because I work from home, I'm like, dang, it's gonna be I still gotta work.
Hmm.
Like now if you working from home during the pandemic. But to be honest, I like working from home.
Yeah, it's comfortable. Like I feel comfortable working at the workplace because like if you work from home, it's like you won't like be focused.
Yeah, and then sometimes when you at home, it kind of does get a little irritating because it's like I could be doing better if I was in the office.
Hmm.
But you can't even can't even go to the office, which I don't think I'm gonna be going back to the office probably until next year if I do go back to the office.
Hmm.
I don't know when my job is gonna open
Hmm.
it back up for us to go inside, but
I just hope things get better this year
yeah,
before the spring or before the summertime because there's no way I am not wearing going through another summer wearing a mask.
yeah, they got a lot of things closed in New York, don't they?
They're closing things, they're opening things back up again, and now, like, no later they'll be closing things again.
Yeah, yeah, um,
It's crazy. Yeah, we just gotta pray and we just gotta stay positive.
yeah,
I just hope Biden finds a solution to this as soon as possible.
yeah. Because it's crazy. It's like you in a hole you can't get out of. Everybody's basically in a hole they can't get out of.
Hmm.
Basically, this whole situation.
Hmm.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
worst we've
so,
ever been into. The worst we've ever been in. But
mhm,
New Jack Swing makes it better.
yeah, you
That ain't
just
the
gotta
word.
listen to it. It just keeps your mind out of it. And like, it won't even like you won't even think about the pandemic. You just like, think about moving it, moving. So we gonna end it from here. It was nice talking to you. It's nice meeting you through live. It's like, we just like, had to let the people know, sharing our ideas.
Yeah. Nice meeting you too. I
Same
appreciate
here.
you wanting to go live with me, to talk
Mhm.
about the New Jack Swing era. I
All
appreciate
right.
it.
All right.
You
We'll
have a
talk.
good night.
All right. You do the same.
Thank you.
No problem.